What's up, you guys? Robert here again for another video. If it's your first time here, go ahead and click subscribe. Click on the notification bell so you get notifications every time I make a new video. Follow me on social media. I'm going to put all the links or the way to find me on the description below. So let's just get right into the video, you guys. It's about the new trending topic in the guitar community, and that is the changes with the CEO with Gibson Guitars after the bankruptcy and what's been going on. And as you guys know, everybody's well aware, there's a lot of people making videos about how, you know, what the new models are and the prices and all that. I'm not going to talk too much about that in this video. I want to talk about something that has been lingering on my mind for a long time, and there seems to be an impression that Gibson was making poor quality instruments, and now, you know, we have this new transition, and now we're going to have, you know, good instruments or something like that. There's some type of gray area there that it just sounds like what we used to have, you know, was no good, and now what we're getting is you know, going to be up to par where it should be. Okay, and there's some truth to that, but I don't want to have any confusion. I want to address that question, which I think is a very important question. I think that it's something that everybody should take into consideration. So I've been playing Gibson guitars for a long time. I've owned Gibson guitars for a long time. I played almost every model from the, you know, from the bottom price point to the top price point and everything in between. And just so there's no confusion, I'm talking more specifically Les Paul models. Okay, and I'm sure there's the equivalent of them, of the other models like the SGs, the Explorers, the Flying Vs. This will all translate pretty well overall because they have a similar type, but I just think the Les Paul is just the model that defines Gibson, and it's the, you know, my favorite, and it's just such an important model that needs to be addressed. Okay, so let's talk about how did we get here with Gibson? What did they do wrong? Okay, so first of all, you know, I know you guys probably already know. I just want to remind you guys on what happened so everything makes sense. Okay, so they started using, in fact, not only using, forcing down our throats the robot tuners. You guys remember that? 2014, 2015 models. So those were terrible. I used them. I know people that own them. They're terrible. They don't work. They don't really work. They're hard to use, and the gear ratio is terrible. We weren't ready for it. Some people, I guess, may have loved them. There was very few of them, but I'm glad those are long gone, and that's a done deal because that was just terrible. The worst part, though, was that the standard models and the flagship Les Paul models were being sold exclusively with those robot tuners, and I think that was just a terrible mistake. Not only that, Gibson was focusing so much on electronics. It was starting to become like the guitar side of the company was being neglected, and they were focusing on electronics, starting to invest in that. Didn't really work. They were messing around with some funky models, the modern DC or guitar model. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. That model, man, it's a terrible model. I'm not against experimenting, but that was just a terrible model. It hurt them. It was not a good idea. Okay, the what is it, the modern V, that was like a Star Trek guitar. Terrible investment. Everything was just bad about that guitar. I understand there's a few people that liked it, but I don't know anybody that bought it because it was also so ridiculously expensive, like everything else. Made no sense whatsoever. They messed around with the colors. Orange blood and red and pink, and then the burst on the Les Pauls, like they ended towards the bottom of the guitar. It was just a terrible thing. And I think the worst thing that Gibson did was the quality control was terrible. I have an example right here. I finally got my hands on a gold top, and by the time I go in and take off the pick guard, because you know the pick guard covers the beautiful gold on this guitar, the nut on the bottom of here, the screw, dug into the paint. I went past the clear coat, past the paint, and it looked terrible. luckily I have a friend that actually builds guitars and somewhat matched the color on there for me, because it looked worse. I don't know if you guys can see it in the in the camera, but I'll post some photos of it. It's just terrible. And you know what, it just literally it honestly broke my heart to see that, because I look forward to this guitar, to having it, and you know, I tried to get a replacement and everything, and I decided to keep it because the rep from the company that I bought it for said that they might have, a lot of them might have this issue because of just the nature of the placement and everything. And I looked online, and it turned out that a lot of people had that problem, and there's other issues, quality issues that they had, that I'm not really gonna get into, like I said, but there's a lot of little things like that, nicks and dings and stuff like that. You know, there's some experimentations that I don't mind. The asymmetrical slim tapered neck, I love it. You guys should check it out. It's like a teardrop shape. It feels really good in the hands. I think that was a great advancement. I know there's like some guitars that are reduced from right here from the neck, so you can access here better. I think those are great ideas. You know, the way they've done the push pull knobs, and the way they've done on some of the guitars where you can actually get to the back of the cavity and change the wiring of them. I think those are brilliant ideas, and there's a lot of ideas. I mean, we got to keep moving forward. I get that, but this is a company of tradition, and when you have a company that is putting out poor products as far as blemishes and quality control, I mean, it's gonna hurt your company, right? But like I said, you know, earlier, is that I love Gibson. That doesn't take away from the sound of the guitar. This guitar sounds amazing. It's a great sounding guitar. I have such a good time. I feel so happy playing it. My Les Paul Studio that I own was my main guitar for 10 years, and I didn't think there was going to be other guitars as far as sound that were going to be superior to that one, because it just sounded so good. I put my, you know, the pickups that I like on it. It sounded great. It felt great and played good. Obviously, it wasn't a standard, so it didn't have a lot of the aesthetics that I thought it, you know, that I wanted and everything. And once I got a standard, I realized that things do get better when you put quality materials on them. And not only that, I have played guitars above this one that are superior in sound and tone and everything to it. So Gibson has always put out fantastic guitars. Don't get me wrong. Don't get anybody wrong. We're having a transition period right now, but the guitars Gibson put out before were still Gibson sounding, Gibson feeling. They were still Gibson guitars. Okay, so you know, I'm not gonna sell this guitar. I don't think anybody should go in, you know, those measures. I mean, unless you have some kind of regret, you know, as far as it. But I love this guitar, and I love all my Gibson guitars, and they're all, you know, like in the era where, you know, people say they weren't, you know, good or whatever. But you know, they're still great guitars. Now let's talk about what we're gonna get. Now what we're gonna get is gonna be something completely different. Is it gonna be something that is gonna just change everything? It might, but it's not gonna be completely different. Sorry to break it to you guys. This is the truth of exactly what's going on. Okay, so like I said, just kind of talking about the Gibson models. So now they're coming out with a new line of the 50 standard and the 60 standard, and they're still gonna experiment with a lot of other types of things, the high performance, the standard, and they're gonna do a whole bunch of stuff. Like I said, I'm not gonna get into the models, but they're still trying a bunch of stuff, which is great. I don't have a problem with it, but we're not gonna be forced to buy something we don't want, because now they're doing, like I said, these 50s and 60s models that are still considered standards. And what are they doing to these? They're giving us they're not doing the modern weight relief on these ones. They're still doing modern weight relief and stuff on others, but not on these ones. They're giving us the old necks that we like. They're not putting robot tuners in there. They're putting linear taper pots on there. Linear taper pots, for all of you guys that don't know, they put these pots in there that when you lower the volume, it actually changes tone and you know, reduces the gain, so you can actually play with the sound that you want on your guitar, which is fantastic. That's the way it's always been done, and that's the way it needs to be done. So now let's talk about what we're not getting. So see, for you guys, that don't know, Gibson has a custom shop. Okay, and the custom shop is separate from the Gibson USA, where what they do is they bring back the replicas of original 1950s and 60s guitars that everybody wants. They do such a good job of it. What's the difference? I'm going to tell you guys two of the biggest differences. I don't know all of them, but these are the biggest ones. The long tenon joint on the neck, the way they put the neck into the guitar. They do a long tenon joint, which they don't do in the Gibson USA models, or any Gibson USA for that matter. They only do that in the custom shop. You get just more, you take advantage more of the more mass of the guitar. That's going to give you that sustain, that's going to give you that clarity, that's going to give you that fat sound. You're not going to get that from a Gibson USA. Trust me, I played those guitars. They acoustically are superior. Acoustically, without plugging them in, you play them, they're superior guitars. And the other thing that you're not getting, that like I said, these two items are the biggest items, I think, is the custom Bucker pickups. The custom Bucker pickups are hand wound to replicate the sound of the original pickups. What we get in these pickups are the Burst Bucker Pro, Burst Bucker Pro Plus, and so on. Those pickups are not the same. They don't sound as good. I played them. They're not the same. The ones on the custom shop are just far superior. And also I think the way they put the truss rod in is a little different. They use a lot of materials that are very different as far as replicating. They do such a good job of replicating stuff, which is negligible. That's just cosmetic, I think. But some of the stuff isn't. Like the composition of the materials to replicate the originals. Those things are big. Any little thing, the more you get into playing guitar, you're going to realize that even the most minuscule thing will have a big difference on the tone of your guitar. So we're not gonna get that with these new Gibson model. The sound and the soul of Gibson, the way it's always been, is still going to be there. What we have to hope for is that the quality control is going to get better, that they're not going to force experiments down our throats with the main flagship models, and that they're going to get the price points in check. Those are the three things that need to be changed. They don't need to force us to buy colors we don't want to, use tuners we don't want, to do weight relief we don't want. We're not going to be forced to do things we don't want to do. We can stay traditional if we want. We can try new things if we want. The pricing, I don't know. I have a feeling they're going to be pretty similar. Like I said, these newer models that are supposed to be the traditional ones, I believe they're still going to reduce those, but I think the other ones, I mean, just looking here online, I think the other ones are the high performance and the standard. They're still going to keep rising on price. Do I think they're worth it? Absolutely not. I don't think they're worth it, because those are things that are being experimented with, and I mean, we don't really know what's going on with those things. But I'm just glad that Gibson is at least trying, and I'm hoping that the quality control is going to get better. I think I read something about how now they're actually fixing the lighting situation in the factory so they can actually see. If they had problems with seeing the quality, then they had a serious problem. I don't know what they were thinking out in the Gibson factory. But if they're doing things like that, then yeah, we should expect to see higher quality guitars. So hopefully we can buy a guitar and not worry about them having dings on the paint or weird stuff like that. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Give me your thoughts. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. What can we really expect? Subscribe to my channel, ring the notification bell, and follow me on social media. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time.